Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. I hope you guys are all having a wonderful Monday. Today we're going to be talking about some of the 2019 hatchlings, how they've been doing, and some problems I've encountered in the last couple months. It's been about 6 months since I made an update video talking about them, and I figured it was about time considering that the 2020 breeding season is here, and I'll hopefully be getting some new eggs in the next couple months and some new hatchlings later on. But I wanted to show you guys how the 2019 hatchlings have been doing here over the last couple months. Now, one of the biggest problems I've recently encountered is the temperature in my house. Now, I would generally like to keep baby hatchling crested geckos at 75 to 78 degrees or so. That is very conducive to their growth, especially if you're feeding them live bugs every week. They're going to grow a lot quicker than they are at the temperature that my house is currently at. So I didn't think about this recently, but I took my temp gun out and I temped some of the baby gecko tanks during the day and at nighttime, and what I found is kind of shocking to me, but something I should have expected, is that during the night it's getting to about 69 to 70 degrees, and during the day it's getting up to about 71 or 72 degrees. Now that's not horrible, and they can obviously live at this temp and grow at this temp. It's just that the growth that they're going to experience is a lot slower than what they would be if they were just a couple degrees warmer. So I've been trying to brainstorm ideas on how I can heat up an entire rack without having to heat the entire room, and I haven't really came up with anything good. The couple ideas I have had have been like putting a light bulb on the bottom shelf and then wrapping 3 sides of the rack in plastic with an opening at the back, so obviously heat would rise and it would heat all the gecko tanks at the top, right? Well, I tested that out on an empty rack with some empty cages on it, and the middle of the rack where the light bulb was getting really hot, and then the outer edges of the rack was getting like really cold and staying at like 72 degrees. So, that wasn't really the best, on top of the fact that I'm going to have a light running 24/7 even at night. It's not in my bedroom, but it would still just be annoying and probably not very cost effective. The other thought I had is some kind of, heat tape, but that really only works for geckos that are on the bottom shelf, because I like to stack my tubs up, at least for the hatchlings. And so that doesn't really work, and it's usually for animals that are terrestrial. They're on the ground, so that doesn't really raise the ambient temperature. So I didn't even try that one because I didn't think that would work. And so right now I'm kind of at a loss, but what I've been doing recently is the room that the geckos are in has 3 doors in and out of it, and normally one of the doors is closed, but I've been closing the 2 other doors, and that seems to raise the temperature in the room up a couple degrees. So instead of being like, I think 71 or 72 during the day, it's been about like 74 to 75, which is much better compared to the 71 or 72. However, that being said, all the baby geckos still have positive growth. They're all growing. It's just that the rate that they're growing is slower than what I would like them to be at. Like, I have some of the baby crested geckos that are, are like 9 months old now and are still like 9 grams, which is something that I would it's not necessarily horrible. It's just that they're growing a lot slower than I'd like. The summer months here in Wisconsin are fairly short and the winter is long. It's probably been this cold in my house since, November, and it won't get warmer until probably like April or May. So that's a long time for them to be at 71 or 72 degrees during the day. And even with the bugs, it's not doing so much to, boost their growth up. I think the extra couple degrees, especially if they're at like 78 degrees, would really help them out. But enough of me talking about the heating. Let's take a look at some of the actual baby geckos we got going on here. I'm just going to be showing you guys a couple of my favorites that have progressed really nicely over the last couple of months. And so the first one here is my very favorite gecko from 2019. This guy is probably going to be insane as an adult. Every time I make an update video on them, I always say that about this one. But this one is just crazy, and it keeps getting better. And the fact that it's only probably about 6 or 7 grams right now gives me even more hope to what it can become. And I just think it's wild that these babies can all look so different even though they're from the same parents. But this is definitely my favorite probably from this year, or at least from this pair. This one is turning out absolutely amazing. And, I think this one still has a long way to go. I think it's going to become a lot more creamy and hopefully white as it gets older. The next one here is one of the smaller ones on this video. This was actually one that didn't hatch until I think October. So kind of a late bloomer here, very small still. But you can see that even though this guy is probably only about 3 to maybe 4 grams, that this one has an absolute ton of pattern. I doubt that this one's going to turn white. You can see it's kind of more of an orangey, kind of creamy color. But I'm thinking that this one is going to have basically no base coat left as an adult, which would be really cool because I really like the way those animals look, especially if they got the orangey kind of pattern. So I'm hoping that this one turns out really nice. With the way it looks this small, I'm thinking it's going to be great as an adult. Up next, we have the only gecko on this list that's actually for sale, but this is still one of my favorites. Even if it doesn't sell, I will not be sad to keep this guy because I think this one has a lot of potential too. This one is kind of one of the more normal, I guess, if you could see my air quotes from this pairing, kind of more of what I expected to get. And this is from obviously Fall and King. And Fall was more of a lavender and King was really dark, but I expected to get more kind of lavendery geckos from this pair, and this would be no exception. I doubt that this one's going to go dark. It appears that it's taking kind of the pattern shape, I guess you could say, from the female or Fall, and the way it looks is it's going to develop a lot of cream, more like King. So this is kind of more what I expected to get from this pairing, but I can't say that I'm disappointed because this is still a very nice gecko. This gecko actually really loves the crickets too. It's getting bigger than some of the geckos I hatched out months earlier. Even though they all get the same amount of crickets, this one just dogs them all down, and I can tell that this one is going to be an amazing adult. I'm hoping it kind of goes female and not male, just because I need some more awesome females. And obviously this one is up for sale on my website, but if this one doesn't sell, I will not be sad. This is a lavender harlequin, just a nice gecko overall. Now this is the only gecko on the list that's out of Autumn and King. It's not that the other ones out of Autumn and King weren't good, it's just that I think this one takes the cake as for what I was hoping for. All of the geckos so far at this size, you know, the 5, 6, 7 gram range, are all showing the colors of Autumn, who was a really nice Halloween when she was younger. But as most Halloweens typically do, she's starting to get more kind of yellowy and browny as she gets older. Although I think, if I'm not wrong, she's going on 4 or 5 years old now. So, you know, she's getting, I think, 5 years old actually this year. So she's getting older, but, you know, that's pretty typical, I would say, of Halloweens. If you can get some that, you know, stay orange their entire life, that's great. But I think it's normal for most very vibrant orange Halloweens to get browner or yellower as they get older. But so far, this little baby right here looks really good. I think this one is going to be a really nice extreme. Fingers crossed though, you know, most people want their geckos to get more white or get more cream on them, but I hope this one does not. I hope this one stays orange, doesn't get any more cream. I mean, the little white spots are fine, but I'd prefer that, you know, it's just a nice, really nice looking Halloween. I think it's just interesting the difference that the certain pairings can make. Even though they have the same male, the babies from Fall have a wide range of different looks. I mean, we're talking some that are dark and bright orange, some that are cream, some that are like lightish yellowish, like lots of pattern, no pattern, spots, no spots. But then all of them from Autumn and King are almost like, I wouldn't say identical, but they all have bright orange pattern, not a lot of cream, very dark, very orange. That's pretty much, they all follow the same kind of, you know, general look, which is kind of interesting to me. I kind of wonder why some geckos have a lot more variety and some don't. Not that it's a bad thing either way, I just think that's something kind of interesting. Now the last gecko on this list is also one of my favorites. This is our little guy Nemo here. Nemo is still alive, still kicking. He's not growing as fast as some of the other geckos, but you know, his leg might deter him a little bit. He loves his crickets though too. I mean, at this size, they honestly all love their crickets. There's not a one of them that doesn't love to eat the crickets. And this guy is no exception. He is still doing great though. He's a little bit smaller, but he's looking good too. And you know, I hope one day he's a nice big healthy gecko. His leg isn't affecting him as much as it used to be, in my opinion anyway. When I see him walking, he doesn't look as wobbly, I guess you could say. He looks more normal, so I think he's gotten used to kind of having the bad leg. But anyway, that's going to about wrap it up for this video. If you did enjoy the video, make sure you do leave a like on it. I would very much appreciate it. It always helps the videos out. Anyway, like I said, my website is always down below in the description if you want to check that out. And I hope to see you guys in next week's video.